What happens after healing? Welcome back to another episode of Healing into Femininity. It's me, your host, Joanna, and let's dive right in. So, today I want to talk to you about what actually happens after healing. And I was inspired by one of you ladies. You watched my video and you left a beautiful comment. And then I also checked you out because this is what I'm up for. Like, I'm all about social media at this point, which is social, right? It's like an interaction, it's a conversation. So I actually looked at your channel. And maybe I'm going to post it down below just to support because I love what you did as well. I don't remember the name right now, but you talked about this kind of this myth of isolation, like through healing through isolation, and this actually making you more depressed than ever. And I could so relate because like I have been on my healing journey, and I don't only call it healing journey, even though my brand is called Healing into Femininity. For me, it's like shedding layers and layers of programming and trauma and things like that to get back into our natural essence. And what happens after we have like actually shed an extensive amount of false beliefs, limiting beliefs about who we are, our skin tone, our personality, who we are as women, and all of these things that make up us, like the individual. Um, so I want to share a little bit about the gap, or let's say the starting point from when you have actually healed, because I believe, and this is a thing that I want to invite you into. Yesterday, I met a friend, and I'm going to do another episode about what I learned with her. But what I want to talk about is that actually me and my friend yesterday, like I said it and she agreed. And that's why I am very, very selective with the people that I'm very close with, because I'm so unfiltered and I like to just share my heart and my soul and just say what's on my mind, literally. So what I said to her is, I'm enlightened. I believe that I'm enlightened. Yeah, no, I'm not fully enlightened. No, I am. There's always more levels. That's what I believe. And that's it. Like it's always layers and layers and layers of false conditioning that we're constantly shedding. And at the same time, there is layers and layers and layers of revelation and layers and layers and layers of enlightenment. So I think it's a scam to let people believe that they're not enlightened. I think actually that's one of the biggest scams in the spiritual community. And this is where exploitation can come in, when people have this inherent belief that they are not enlightened or that they can't be enlightened. And maybe they're seeking enlightenment for whatever reason. Maybe it's their soul's purpose, or maybe it's just an idea and they're so ambitious and they want to seek enlightenment. And then they do all these things. I mean, I was a spiritual seeker as well. I didn't go to the monastery, but I had periods of my life where I lived in like very secluded areas, which was amazing. I like invested a lot of money into receiving spiritual mentorship, which was actually which was very practical. It wasn't only being in this monastery thing, but how can I apply this heightened awareness? But what I see is that people don't dare to say I am enlightened. I also had this one friend, and he really lived in he was constantly punishing himself, which is somewhere of spiritual practice for other people as well. Like really feeling that you are so inferior to whatever, to God. So you're not worthy, you're the sinner. I don't believe in that. Yes, I'm a sinner. Yes, I'm not perfect. I totally accept that. And at the same time, I'm also enlightened. That's what I feel. So with that being said, I believe that there is a time period where we go through, like, yeah, you have a kind of spiritual awakening or a dark night of the soul, where you realize, this is not really what I want. I think there's more to me or more to my life. And then maybe you are seeking some kind of spiritual counsel, or you go into, I don't recommend seeking spiritual counsel, or even literally, I think it's good. I watch YouTube a lot for social media, and I think there's a lot of value on social media as well. But if you actually really want to learn and really do a deep dive, I believe you should seek out a professional, and a professional is also a spiritual life coach if you deem them as authentic, right? Or is a life coach, or is a mentor, or is a, I actually do believe in coaching a lot. Therapy is, can I'm an advocate for therapy, but it's just the beginning. It's just for the beginning. It's just to be above water. That's what I feel. And that's totally fine. I'm not judging it, but sometimes it's not like not everybody needs therapy. I think maybe I think that's it. Like when we want to, that's my story. Okay. Again, it's so unstructured, but I give myself permission, and it's going to make sense at the end. So I can say about myself, like my desire for life was my motivation for this journey. And my desire for life was when I was unhappy in my corporate job. And then I realized, or for me, I realized like I can do more, and I want to serve people. Like I have so much to give. I want to give something. So then I followed my own interests, and I became a nutritionist, I told you before, and then I became a spiritual life coach, right? So I studied a lot. I studied so many like world religions, um, evolution, psychology, like metaphysics, all of that. Okay. So I have spent like really intensely the last 7 years or 8 years of my life doing that. And now I feel like I want to socialize. Like literally, I feel like socializing. And that's why I'm here being my authentic self on social media, because I want to connect. I want to connect. I want to share my story, my point of view, right? My truth. And also be in conversation. But what this girl said, the girl with like, she gave me the inspiration for the video. And she said, that she has kind of followed the advice of isolation and cutting off people. This is also something that I have heard, like cut off people if they're not on your level, cut off friends, cut off family, because the 5 people closest to you, they will influence you. They will influence the way you eat, think, and also your financial status, which is true. I definitely believe in it, because looking from a, let's say, biological standpoint, the people that you surround yourself by are is your culture, is your milieu. I don't know if that's a word you use in English, but the milieu is what surrounds you, and it's also an exchange of bacteria, right? It's an exchange of brain waves, it's an exchange of habits, it's an exchange of bacteria. It's you become the same, because it's normal. Like if you put, yeah, bacteria at some place, they're going to attract the same bacteria. So it's normal, it's biological, chemical, whatever we want to call it. It's a law of nature. It's a natural law, universal law. So, of course, that happens. And at the same time, I believe and that probably, maybe that's mastery, but it is also important to be surrounded by people, because having a social life is important. Isolation, I believe, is important when you really want to upgrade. And this, you do that for a season or for a time, right? It could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, but not necessarily. You can do that if you feel mentally and all of that ready to just really go to the woods and do that. I think it's not an either or. I have done that, and I have been in my hermit mode for a while, as I said, but I always came back out, got back in, came back out, got back in. And now it's like every day I come home to my own sanctuary, and then I go back out into this world in order to also live my life. Because what this girl said was that she felt so depressed and so disconnected, so isolated, and it actually made her sick. Yes, because we actually do need human contact in order to feel alive. Like, one thing that I learned is that the first way a human being in the belly of the mother kind of feels a sense of self and aliveness is by bumping against the belly from inside and actually feeling yourself through the touch of your mother, because then you feel like you feel her, but you also feel yourself. So that means we have to get in touch. We have to get in contact with other people in order to feel our existence. You understand what I mean? So there's, of course, there's levels to it, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but we need the exchange. And this is also what I started with, is maybe there has been a period of you wanting to fully heal into perfection in seclusion, and then you realize, oh, actually it's a journey and it's probably going to take longer than I think. Like maybe changing your body, right? It doesn't happen from one day to the next. It's a lifestyle. Yeah, I am no one for crash diets or anything, so I do it step by step. It's a lifestyle, it's my habits. The same thing goes for social skills or speaking skills or whatever skills you might learn. Even, and that's also for me, every time I learn something, I go into hermit mode. Like I really fully want to focus. I think that's just how I work. I am very, like when I focus, it's like I'm fully focused on that thing. I just completely disappear and focus, but not out of this kind of Instagram advertisement way of disappear for a month and come back as this person. That's fine. That's totally fine. But I literally don't really do this to come back as somebody for other people. No, I do it because I don't care about what's going on the outside world. I'm focused on what I want to do, and I want to give it all my attention. Yeah, because first and foremost, it's for me. Well, my hair is flying out. That doesn't look cute, but that's okay. We're not perfect over here. Um, so so with that being said, I believe there is a time and a space for this hermit mode, for the seclusion, for wanting to heal, wanting to learn. Also, of course, and this is also something that I kind of want to debunk, or I don't know, because I think people always talk about leveling up, or like healing journey. It is actually an educational journey. That's just how I see it. Enlightenment, as well, as I used the word enlightenment before. Enlightenment is education. Enlightenment is an educational journey, not only about formal education or education you find in school, but it's about learning. And sometimes learning is self-teaching, right? Teaching how to do something, art, yeah, or other things about yourself, changing the way you think, changing the way you respond, changing the way you speak, or changing the way you present things, whatever. Changing yourself is an educational journey. It's a mix of like unlearning, right, and relearning. So a lot of the level up journey has to do with education. So for example, me, as I said, I'm a nutritionist, like I learned it. So I want to look a certain way. It's a level up journey, right? So I have to learn something. The same thing goes with makeup. If you want to be extremely good at makeup, it's about learning it. It doesn't just like what's that level up journey about? It's about education. So that is a legitimate period of time where you feel like I have to really seclude myself, or actually also get away. Like I don't want to say that that's wrong. You can move to a different state. You can move to a different country. You can travel the world for a time. But I believe if it's not, and let me, I also speak for me, so this is not general for everybody applicable. And that's also one reason why I say, if you actually really want to learn and do some deep, 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 deep work, I believe in mentorship. I believe in coaching, because then that mentor can actually look at you and your personalized life, right? Of course, even though there are many things that can be applied to everyone, I think it's important to find out what your starting point is. So for me personally, I don't really come from a toxic family or anything, but of course, even your regular people around you, if you think their life is okay, they have limiting beliefs, or they don't have the knowledge or the drive or whatever, because otherwise they would have probably achieved more. Maybe that's even a lie. Maybe that thought is even a lie, because some people just came here onto this planet for a certain experience and they might even be content. I don't know. I don't think that everybody wants the same. More or less, yes, but the let's say the levels of things, people don't want the same. That's what I believe. Some people want this, some people want something else. You will know. So this place here, like my channel, is more for women who actually are know that you want more. That's such a cliche way of saying it, but you want more. You know that you came here to experience luxury, or you came here to experience um, bigness, vastness, like life experiences, exposure, travel, food, sense, theater, culture, fashion, uh, being in nature, different kind of sceneries, like life, and being fully immersed in life and the things that you are interested in. So again, I kind of want to make the transition here. So I believe it's legitimate to be excluded or to be secluded, to be isolated for a while. But if you then feel that you're depressed, then it's time to step out. And this is actually where the whole fun begins, because I believe this is how I see it. I believe inner work, knowledge of self. Knowledge of self for me includes like nutrition, the nervous system, right? Your water household, everything that has to do kind of with the body, like fitness, but also of course the mind, like psychology, spirituality, all of these things that have to do with you as a human being. And this is also something that I don't hear enough. We are human beings. That's what I ultimately believe. Yes, there are races, if you want to call it that. Actually, this word is in itself is a white supremacist term, because it's I'm not fully educated on exactly the terms, but I think actually race is not the thing, but some people think that's it. There's only the human race. That's what I believe. But people think, okay, someone is up and other people are down. It's about classifying human people, the human race into categories, also to then create a hierarchy. So I'm not sure about the word race. I think it's not political. Like if you're aware or educated about the whole concept of race, I think it doesn't apply. Like I think that's not the right word. But with that being said, okay, so you have been excluded, and this is what it is. You learn about self. You learn about humans, which is not necessarily everything you. Yeah, it's more generalized. It's about maybe it's an example, right? It's about anatomy. Maybe you're learning colors. Maybe you're not even going that deep, but probably if you're here, you're interested in it. But maybe you're learning about skin tones and what colors go with your skin tone. Maybe you're learning about how to do hair and makeup, or you are a stylist or whatever. This is also for me, this is like decorating knowledge of self, right? But you can go deeper into cell food, into how the cell works, how the cell synthesizes. Oh my God, this word, I had it before. How the cell actually synthesizes. Actually, it's easy, right? Synthesizes. There's no th, whatever, but synthesizes energy, all of that. You learned about spirituality, you learned about healing, you learned about forgiveness, you learned about probably visualization, manifestation, all of those things. Yeah, so now you have a comprehensive, little, maybe more shallow knowledge on these. That's why I'm saying again, if you actually really want to learn more, I do believe in investing in a mentor, because just collecting all these knowledge, free information is not going to do it. It's not the same commitment. Enlightenment is not for free. I heard that and I believe in it. I had to pay an amount to get my initiations and things like that. So I believe that it's important to pay for somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, and they're doing it in a systematic, dedicated way that proves results, right? In a proven, repeatable, reliable system of transformation. That's how I call my approach. So, but that's what I believe. But with that being said, you learned all these things. With that being said, again and again. And then you come to the point where you feel like, okay, actually, I don't want to be in seclusion anymore. I want to go out. And now here comes the whole paradigm shift. It's not about constantly just you filling up yourself and being alone and cutting off everybody so you're not triggered. And this is what that girl also said. It's about, if you're alone the whole time, you might think that this is peace, the peace that you've wanted to create. That's probably true, but when you go out, you know that you're going to get triggered again. And this is actually the path you have to go, is to get triggered, because getting triggered is a blessing. I've said that before. Getting triggered is a blessing. It's kind of free mentorship, because when you get triggered, you know where to look. So then you can go back home, and then you can work through the triggers, and then you go back out, you feel what's going on there. And the more you do that, the more you get triggered, the more you go out, the more you work on it, the more you release the trigger, the more you come into truth, the more you come into light, confidence, the true self. Yeah, you become unbothered, right? You become untriggerable. And that's not true. Maybe you will still get triggered, even if you are the high-end empress, even if you are a goddess already, there's levels. And that's why I call it healing into femininity, because it's eternal growth. And now that's what I really see. This is one part of the journey, is the self-love, self-empowerment, radical self-acceptance, all of that. Health, level up, working out, looking good, dressing good, makeup nice, hair nice, all of that. Boom. Okay, that's the journey. Maybe you can't even get to perfection because it takes time. There's no such thing as perfection. I think a lot of people who are stuck here, who are stuck in this eternal loop of wanting to be perfect before they can actually love themselves. And this is where this is the gimmick here. It's not about becoming perfect. It's not about aspiring to some beauty standard or some other person's pedestal. It's about you putting yourself on the pedestal and keeping yourself there and loving yourself exactly the way you are right now, with everything that is going on in your life right now, with exactly the way you look, and still go out into the world and shine your little light. Because going out into the world, shining your light, speaking your truth, or walking your path, creating that business, sharing your message, sharing your truth, whatever. This will, of course, bring more triggers, because people are going to be triggered by your light. That's normal. That is called, when, like, a moth to the flame, right? People will come because they see your light, but they will also kind of hate you because you blind them and you see their darkness as well. Because the more you shine, the more you see, if you dare to look, and you will see other people's flaws or weaknesses or shortcomings, and people know that. So they kind of maybe want to drag you down. But what is it that will sustain you? What is it that will sustain you? And now comes the building. Yeah, my first program is called the Dream Builder, and it's about learning how to do exactly that part, building your dream, not being in seclusion, actually. Yeah, I think you can do it. Of course, there are going to be times where you, especially in the beginning, where you have to spend a lot of time alone, but it doesn't mean that you have to break up with your partner. It doesn't mean that you have to leave your city. It doesn't mean that you have to leave your parents. It doesn't mean that you have to leave your wife and kids or your children. No, it's about learning how to be a goddess in wherever you are in your life right now. And that is possible without being completely secluded in the monastery. Yeah, you can learn to take your time, create your rituals, right? Calling it micro habits, right? Micro habits, the 1% development strategy or whatever, like everything they talk about in personal development. You can apply this to all areas of your life, right? It's not about, yeah, running away and hiding, because actually this part, and I can say that it was true for me too, that at a part, not everything, some parts were really like, I just want to dive in and then I don't want anybody around. But if it kind of extends a certain period of time, it becomes a maybe a hiding feeling, maybe feeling even ashamed for that you haven't reached what you thought that you would reach when you started the journey. Maybe with your body, you started, okay, I'm going to start, and you didn't reach the goal. And maybe it's going to be a long road. That's what I mean. Or maybe you started and you thought you're going to make this big money and it didn't happen. So now you might feel even ashamed in your isolation. And this makes it even harder to step out into the light, into the world again, to be also to be reflected. Because the thing about triggers is also to always check if they're still triggering, right? These triggers are triggering, right? The triggers are triggering. I haven't heard that before. Maybe we can make that into some viral kind of saying, right? The triggers are triggering, like life is lifing, you know. So trigger are triggering. They're triggering because you're not 100% sure about if they're true or not. If somebody mirrors something back to you and there's still a 1% openness to believe what the other person is saying, that's why the trigger is triggering, because you might still think yourself that you are unworthy, not beautiful, not good enough, not beautiful enough, not smart enough, not worthy to be at the table, not worthy to be in the room, not worthy to speak your truth, not worthy to claim your space, not worthy to hold your boundaries, not worthy to hold your standards. You know, that's the only reason why you can still be triggered. And that's why we have to go out. And that's why we have to have a vision or a determination to say, I am going to do this. I am going to allow myself to create. I am going to create. I am going to create my dream life step by step, day by day. That's my mission. That's my life goal. That's my purpose. That is what makes me happy. This is my divine marriage. I also like to say that you or me, that I am married to my dream. I am married to being a speaker, being a teacher, being a coach, being a mentor, being a big sis. Yeah. And also I am like my goal is to continue to have different avenues of self-expression, whether it be um, whether it be speaking in other forms, or whether it be acting or hosting, being on stage. Like this is all the things that I love, and that's my path. So look at you and ask yourself, what is something that you love? Maybe you don't know it right away, but maybe you do. And I believe the number one thing for a person to not drown in this world is to have a dream and have a goal, and to just continue to work on it. Because to answer the question, what happens after like the glow up, or what happens after the healing journey, what happens after the self isolation? It's about getting back into the world and playing the game. That's actually what it's about, to go into the world and play the game. You have become, I didn't fully say what I wanted to say before. Oh my God, it's interesting to observe myself to have so scattered thoughts, but actually it's not scattered. Everything is one. So on this side, inner work is to actually really upgrade your thinking, upgrade your feeling, upgrade your energy, have an awakening, come into a new reality, a new awareness of yourself and this life, which is all internal. And it's like a new it's like a new operating system. That's literally what we do over here. Like that's what I do as a coach. That's what I've learned from my teacher. We call it, it's an operating system. Like you get implanted a new operating system, right? We have this limitation operating system, and I'm going to implant in you like a godly, a divine, a powerful, yeah, upgrade of an operating system. So your avatar, your body, right? You can go back out into the world and actually play the game of life because you have understood psychology. You have understood your individuation process. You have understood how to keep the balance, how you can be like having your own time, be secluded, do the right things, journal, feel, do the tapping mechanism or whatever you do mirror affirmations, do the chanting, doing the movement, doing the embodiment practices, eating healthy. It becomes a lifestyle. That's your lifestyle, and you protect it while being out and about in the world, right? Without getting too, let's say, like sucked into the world, but you still move in the world. You still have friends. You decide on what like how the relationship will be, right? You can still have relationships with your family. Yeah, again, you decide if they're so toxic they will drown you, or if you can maintain a relationship with people who are not 100% like you. So this is another video I want to talk about. Like, it's not about people having to be exactly like you. You know, I think that's also what a lot of people are triggered by. Like, if you're on your journey and you are really secure within yourself, you know what you want, you know your power, you know how to do things, you don't have to convince anybody. You don't have to convince anybody anymore because you are reaping the benefits of what you have learned. You are reaping the benefits of what you have educated yourself on. You are reaping the inner peace. You are reaping the fun. You're reaping the body. You're reaping the calm and the quiet and the perspective, the perception. You're reaping a higher intelligence, right? You are reaping a higher intellect because you've read all these books. You are reaping some cultural knowledge because you have gone out and traveled or have been to all these cultural events and places, right? But now you don't have to go out there and convince anybody. If you want that, you can come along. I can teach you. Yeah, but if nobody's like, if the people around you, and most of the time that's going to be it. If they're not necessarily interested, then that's fine. Create a YouTube channel, become a business. uh, Teach people who are actually interested, or share with people who are actually interested in this same exact thing that you're interested in, but you don't have to cut off people. I think in the beginning stage, it's good to cut off people, or not necessarily cut off people. You don't even have to cut them off. You just silently kind of disappear. But coming back or continuing to want to engage in life is also about being strong enough to know that you can't be tempted. That's what it's about. You can't be tempted. I can go somewhere, and if the food is, I know, like, it's really, really unhealthy for me, I can't be tempted. You know, like, I can't be tempted. That's not what I eat. I don't want to eat it, so you can't tempt me. The same thing with people. Being able to have an opinion, sharing your opinion, you don't have to convince anybody. Other people might want to convince you, but it's up to you to take it or not. You know, it's about strength, it's about boundaries, it's about standards, it's about, again, I always like to paint this picture of this egg form of an aura. This is you protected in your individuated state. You are protected with your halo effect, right? You're protected in your own walking sanctuary. And this is your protection. This is where you live, and you live inside that field all the time, no matter what, right? So this also gives you the ability, of course, to be with your family. Of course, not 24/7 if they are not having the same habits as you and you don't want to be influenced too much, because again, it's about bacteria as well. It's literally not only spiritual or invisible, it is still invisible, but it's also exchanging bacteria. So if somebody has bad bacteria, a bad gut microbiome, it's very likely that you will have a bad gut microbiome as well. That's crazy, right? But this is how we see the connection between the spiritual and then also other mm, like invisible things for the human eye, but those energies are being exchanged. So, okay, this was a little, yeah, mixed up again, but I hope you enjoy it. What comes after the isolation? It's getting back into the game. So, who do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? What do you want to create? Create, right? What do you want to create and share with the world? That's what life is about. Like for me, this is a full breakdown of what life is about, right? It's first about awakening that you are more than what everybody has told you, your parents, society, school, the medical system, racism, patriarchy, and so on. All of that is not true, like you were in this era. And hopefully you have not just secluded yourself, but actually learned from a mentor, signed up for a coaching program, signed up with a teacher, signed up for classes, sought out truth, sought out information, went to a retreat or something like that, and actually really not only with yourself, even though I believe you don't need anybody else. It's not about, as I said, you can be enlightened. I am enlightened, and we don't need a guru all the time because the guru is the source within. But I believe in order to navigate life, it's always good to learn from some people who are a few steps ahead so you can cut the learning curve. As simple as that. If you are an athlete, even if you are, or especially if you are a pro athlete, you have a coach. And that's the thing that I feel like many people don't get, especially if you're a pro athlete, artist, or some kind of person who has a special gift. They have mentors. They have coaches, they have advisors, because they know they want to focus on what they do, and they can always learn, always continue to learn and refine. And that's the life path that I'm talking about. Yeah, maybe you have been alone on your path, or maybe you have already learned from other people. Please share. I would like to know, like, where do you come from? What has been your journey? Have you felt that level of, okay, I thought I should cut off everybody, but what about replacing people? What about feeling lonely inside that bubble, and then probably doing bad mistakes with men because you feel so lonely, you think now it's time to have a man, and then you fall for the predator. Yeah, that happened to me too. So being in that bubble, coming out of that bubble, is about coming out with confidence, hopefully, because you know yourself more, right? That's very important. Coming out with confidence, because confidence comes from knowing yourself, knowing your strength and your weaknesses. It is also about really yeah, not feeling ashamed of who you are, right? Feeling ashamed of who you are, what you did, and what kind of life you're claiming now. Not feeling ashamed of all of a sudden being that leveled up woman, right? And then actually get into creativity and responsibility, because after coming out of that seclusion phase, you really realize that you are responsible for that level up, or for that continuous creation. Yeah, continuous creation, and nobody else. It's you, it's fully on you. The hard reality is that nobody cares if you don't do the work, because then you're just going to continue to reap the results that you've always had if you don't want to do the work. So you're going to be fully responsible for yourself. And it's about creativity. It's about getting out there. It's about showing who you are. It's about showing whatever you learned. It's about sharing what you've learned, all of that, going out into the world and serving. And that's where I like the word, like, serving looks, if that's what you want. Serving brain, serving heart, serving soul, serving knowledge, serving serving whatever it is. Like I could go rambling on around and around, but I just want to summarize it. So again, I was inspired by this lady talking about, okay, how this level up journey was also some kind of a scam in terms of, okay, secluding yourself, cutting off everybody, but then feeling depressed. Okay, so what I would say here is the next level is not feeling depressed necessarily because you're not with other people, because it's you have to learn to love yourself. Like, how can you be depressed when you have a lot of fun with yourself? I always believe that money is our best friend. So if you're alone and you have money, you can have a very good time because you can go out, you can eat good foods, you can live in places. So that's also something I want to say. Okay, seclusion and then being alone, it is important to get out, but it's also important to make yourself happy, but not alone. Not alone. And that's the whole thing. I'm giving nuances. It's not either or, it's both and. It can be both and. It's about balance, right? And then definitely it's also about creating what you want, whether it be your looks, your hair, your YouTube channel, your life, your balcony, your social life. It's all about proactive creation. It's all about proactive creation, and this is the true healing journey, how it continues. Like there's the first phase of the hero's journey, but what happens to the hero when he comes back to the village? The hero's journey is like I think a 6-step process. The hero wakes up, then the hero leaves the village, which is the being secluded, right? Being kind of cutting off the old life. Then you go into the forest, you're wandering around, you're looking a little bit, then you find your mentor. That is also part of the hero's journey. You find your teacher, you find your mentor, you find the tools on how to slay the dragon, and then you go find slay the dragon. Slaying the dragon is actually coming into full and radical self-love, because you realize you're both. You have the light, you have the treasure behind the dragon. It was always inside of you. Oof, it was always inside of you. Now you have the treasure, and now you're going back with this treasure, or with the elixir of life. You go back with that into the village, right? But then when you are in the village and you have this elixir of life, or you have the treasure, you probably have to have some kind of business. The story is not over after the hero or the heroine returns to the village, right? What is that person doing there? They're serving. So serve what you have to share about. And the more you have gathered, like literally along your journey, all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the experience, right? And also all the failures, if you feel comfortable, you share that, and you serve the community. Yeah, so you're not cutting yourself off, but actually come back. You actually come back to the community, and most likely you're coming back to the same community the whole story started in, because these are the people who can relate to you, because they are going to be like, oh yeah, I once was that person who was wondering if there was a world outside of the confinement of this village. And then there's this hero who actually went outside of the confinement of the village and coming back. So it's about creation. If you have come back, if your healing journey is kind of over, or you learned something, you overcame a challenge, you solved a problem for yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever, you come back to serve the community. This is as easy as I can explain really what is happening after seclusion, after learning with a mentor, after coming into your power. What happens then? It's about creating. It's about creating. So, yeah, I think that's it. What do you think? What do you think about this whole kind of taking it too far with the seclusion, maybe literally extending the period of time of being alone too far? Or maybe not thinking about actually replacing people with new people, or whatever happened in this hermit mode that you felt depressed, also to the woman who inspired me, um or maybe you can relate. Yeah, you think, okay, yeah, it happened to me too. I feel alone. Actually, I feel so far away from the world, and I can't relate anymore. This happened to me too. Like I was flying in the clouds, and now I'm back. Like I'm here. Okay, let me get into the tea. Let's talk. Let's bring this pot of wisdom with good intentions and a pure heart, but being human again and serving my people with my knowledge. So have you had experience with that too? Let me know about it. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, let's continue to exchange. Again, it's social media. Until then, take care.